For Crema Media's Polity, I'm Ronald Lamola. Joining me today is the ANC, NSC and National Working Committee member Ronald Lamola to discuss the ANC manifesto. Welcome, Ronald.
Thank you.
Why
to the viewers.
Okay. And why do you think that South Africans should vote for your party, the African National Congress, and give them maybe another chance at the polls on May 8th?
It's because the ANC has got 25 years of experience, and there have been successes in the 25 years that we've been government, and there have also been failures. So we've learned from the mistakes that have happened in the last 25 years, and I think we're in a good position to take this country forward, because from that experience you can only build. And I think even with the manifesto that we've presented to the nation, we've been very practical. It's a manifesto that is implementable. We did not promise what is not possible. We have only promised what we believe can be done, and we believe with our experience we can be able to pull it off.
Do you perhaps have fresh ideas on how you will tackle corruption and enhance economy as well as reduce the issue of unemployment?
Yeah, obviously, with regard to corruption, there's already a crack on the the government is already cracking the whip. The state capture inquiry is ongoing. Revelations are being made, and the president has been very clear that law enforcement agencies should not wait for the commission of inquiry. Where there's evidence, they need to do their job without fear or favor. He has also appointed a capable person in the NPA, and I think the key issue is also to have capable people running state institutions or in the criminal justice cluster, which is a clear example from the president's lead in the NPA and in the various structures, and including the boards which have been appointed. I think the minister has tried of public enterprise to appoint capable people. So I think that is what will enable us to get rid of the of what we are currently having in the state, because institutions of the state needs to be stronger. You can't have individuals weighing heavier on the institutions. So institutions needs to be stronger than the individuals.
As a former president of the ANC Youth League, you are one of the younger people also on the ANC's list of parliament. Congratulations to that. How do you respond to the criticism, though, of other people that are on the list, like the DA is saying that some of the members that are in your list are thugs? How would you respond to that?
The DA has Engelbrecht, who was also charged of various issues, but it does not mean we need to hide behind that. We have the list of the ANC is an outcome of a democratic process in the structures, and the people that have questionable issues of criminal convictions have been removed. With regard to those that you are raising, that there is questionable issues and so forth, we will have to allow the law to take its course.
You were known for being active during the Zuma years. You were against him as the president of the party. Now he is no longer in the party. Some people are calling for people who were in his cabinet to be removed. What would you say about that?
No, obviously, I think that is the prerogative of the president, and the president has done his part with regard to the last reshuffle, and he's going to get a fresh mandate now from the electorate, which will enable him to choose a cabinet of his liking, because he was just completing a term of former President Zuma. So now he is going to be appointing a cabinet from his own, fresh from his own belief that this will be a cabinet that will help him to execute the mandate as prescribed in the manifesto, but also to adhere to the Constitution of the Republic. So I think the president will be able to balance how he's going to handle the cabinet issues.
Almost all the SOEs are battling. Why should we trust that unbundling of ESCOM is going to work? And are you not worried that the recent load shedding that we are experiencing is going to cost the ANC votes at the polls?
No, we are worried about all the state-owned entities. If you watch the revelations in the commissions, it's clear that they have been eroded in the past years. And that's why the Minister of Public Enterprise appointed new boards, trying to strengthen, but also there is a new turnaround strategy. Cabinet has approved guidelines of appointment of board of directors to avoid a situation where boards in the state-owned entities, you appoint people not basis on their skills. I think those guidelines are far-reaching. They will enable government to respond to that challenge, and some of the turnaround strategies in the state-owned entities will enable them to turn around the corner, including at ESCOM. There is no, I think the minister put it up clear in this yesterday, that there is no silver bullet to resolving ESCOM's challenges. We have to carry the bullet by its horns. We need to do what is necessary. And I believe with the collaboration of government, all the role players, the lenders, the engineers in the ESCOM field, they will be able to turn around the corner and be able to handle the current challenges of load shedding, which obviously they worry us, because I mean, a person is going to go to elections angry and fresh, with a fresh mind on load shedding. But it's a reality of running any country. It happens, it can happen that you go to elections and you have just seen somebody being robbed, or you've seen, so it happens, and this is the reality. That it shows that all of us needs to put our hands together and resolve this challenge, because there is no party that you, even if people say they are angry with us, there is no party that they can vote and it resolve ESCOM's problems today, tomorrow, or within a year or so. It's a problem that all of us must put our heads together and resolve it in the interest of all South Africans.
You have provided direction on the need for accelerated land redistribution in our country. How do you see the process of land redistribution proceeding after the elections?
No, yes, and I think the process is going very well. There is a rapid land release program by government, state-owned entities, and the state. They are currently in a process of auditing and releasing some of the land that they have for mixed use, for economic, residential, and other amenities that are necessary. And on Friday, Anglo-American gave about 270 hectares in Rustenburg for mixed use in that area of Rustenburg, for either economic or for residential. And the Department of Human Settlement is going to build 4,000 units in that area. And Anglo has committed about 140 million to put bulk infrastructure and for water and the road infrastructure. So for us, that is the kind of collaboration that we'll need between the private sector and government to resolve the land challenges, not only for agricultural purposes, because there is sometimes a misconception that the land reform is just for agriculture. It's also needed for urban settlement, because of the rapid urban migration in the country. We need to resolve it, and with the collaboration with the private sector, I think it is doable. And also the other reality is that for us to open up the economy and the economy to grow beyond 2%, you will need the majority of the excluded black population to have some kind of means of production, either residing next to where they stay, so that they can, it could be easy for them to travel to work, but also those that they maybe want to farm in the rural areas and so forth, they are able to come in and farm, because there's land that is lying fallow that is not being farmed and that is not being used. And this, we see it as something that is going to revolutionize and restructure the South African economy for the benefit of all South Africans, and that will enable us to grow the economy beyond the 2%, which we are unable to grow beyond now because of the reality that we are a middle income trapped country. And like the Asian tigers did, there is no any other way you can get out of the situation without bringing the majority of the population through manufacturing, through agriculture, and through other sectors of the economy, because the migration that we have is not really driven by manufacturing and agriculture and other things. It's driven mostly by people coming to the headquarters of companies. So it needs to be driven by production. So that is the context in which the manifesto look at how we can use this to revitalize the economy.
I know you are you've always been saying that you are a product of black tax. So when we talk about education, we know that government has tried to provide free education for poor students, but why do you think we still see protest on the issue of education?
I think it's administrative issues more than policy, because money has been provided. So the issue is the money moving from the state coffers into the pockets of the investees or into the use of the students. That is where there's a challenge, and that's why the Minister of Higher Education is in the process of revamping or revitalizing the NFSAS to enable it to dispense the funds that will enable students to receive the monies on time and so forth. Because when you look at the demands that are being made now, are not necessarily that there's no money. It's a demand of that they haven't received their money on time, they've not been able to register, they've not been, or they don't, students who are residing outside campus, they don't receive the money. So it's an administrative issue which we believe can be resolved between the department and the students and the universities. But at the policy level, the issue has been resolved.
The country is also facing a huge crisis when we look at the public transport. We know even the president was stuck for 2 hours recently in Pretoria. Does the ANC have like issues, like a plan, a clear plan on how to resolve the issue of public transport as well as e-tolls?
The manifesto speaks very clearly about the modernization or the integration of public transport, because without modernizing our public transport infrastructure, we'll not be able to cope up with the global community or with the demands of the commuters. So the shift into rail is a reality. We just have to make sure that the passenger rail agency is given the necessary ammunition to enable it to modernize and meet the current demands. I mean, when you look at what you say about the present, it's issues of maintenance, it's issues of an old infrastructure, it's also issues that relate to the manual authorization of the movement of trains, most of the accidents which have not yet been modernized to use the digital technology, particularly when there is no electricity or when the systems have collapsed. They have to return back to manual authorization. And in terms of the regulations, manual authorization is no longer allowed. So it causes that conflict. But the cabinet and government, they are committed to invest in the infrastructure at PRASA, which will enable us to transform the entire public. It should be an integrated public transport system.
The ANC Deputy SG, Jesse Duarte, recently admitted that sexual harassment is rife at Luthuli House. What is the plan to make sure that you remedy that situation?
I think we have already put together a policy, and there's been engagement with staff and even in the structures of the ANC in terms of sexual harassment, what is sexual harassment, how it should be kept, and all those issues that might look like it's not sexual harassment, how must they be handled and all those. So the policies is there, and I think everyone is being workshopped. I think it's going to be followed thoroughly.
In KZN recently, we've seen a high-profile ANC member being arrested for killing, allegedly killing Cindy Somagaqa. Do you think that the ANC should remove him?
Obviously, such kind of activities should be condemned at the highest level. In the ANC structures, what must reign supreme should be superior logic. It can't be that ideas are contested through a barrel of a gun. It must be contested through superior logic and robust engagement. So it must, I think the PEC and the NEC will have to attend to the matter, because it is just a reason. So due processes have to be followed.
And are you confident that the ANC is going to retain Gauteng? And if it happens that you must enter into a coalition government, are you willing to work with parties like the EFF?
Yeah, we're confident that the ANC will retain Gauteng. The DA has failed, has shown that it can't govern in Tshwane. There's huge corruption that has been exposed, that they failed. They have been appointing incompetent people who don't have qualifications. In the city of Johannesburg, the president has recently proclaimed a special investigation with regard to the fleet tender. There's also been problems of refuse removal and Johannesburg water and roads struggling. So it's clear that the DA can't govern the city of Johannesburg. They cannot govern Tshwane. So they will not be able to govern such a complex province like Gauteng. So that's why we are convinced that I think the voters have also seen. They have now also said, we are going to go out and vote, because in the local government, the reason why we could not really win them outrightly was because, remember, we've won them, but not outrightly in terms of the 50%, was because many of our voters did not go out to vote. And we have done our work across the province. We are also doing it in terms of voter contact. They have committed that they are going to go out in their numbers and vote. And black, white, young and old, they are committing that they will vote for the ANC.
And lastly, how would you encourage South Africans to go out on the 8th to vote?
No, they have to go and vote. It's in their interest. The ANC is the only organization that can maintain social stability and social cohesion, which will enable us to achieve economic growth that everyone will be able to benefit in terms of business and also in terms of employment. So it's not like there is any other option. And the ANC is willing to engage and find solutions with society.
So we don't have an option.
Which one?
If
no, I mean, it's clear. The only people who can make this counter cohesive and coherent is the ANC.
Thank you very much for your time, Ronald.
Thank you.
That was Ronald Lamola speaking to Polity about 2019 elections.